and welcome everybody. Yes, she does look beautiful. Hi, Ray, you look beautiful. um, so welcome all to Spotlight. So my name is Kelly Defogan, and I am the founder and executive director of Afropolitan Canada. Um, so I am glad to see you all here. It's such a good number of people to have this conversation. So that's when I know that this conversation is definitely needed. Just a little bit of a background about Spotlight. So Spotlight is a monthly conversation we've been having this summer, since June actually, with women of color and allies on different topics, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's health, leadership, and so forth. And we want to continue those conversations. Hopefully, when the whole physical distancing, well, there's still going to be some physical distancing, but when it's safer, hopefully we can move this to a more of an in-person conversation. So I am pleased to have here Bayode Simpson, Simpson. She's the founder of the Entrepreneurs Nook. So the Entrepreneurs Nooks, with that, she helps women launch and grow their own side hustle while working full time. Bay's passion for side hustling is rooted in her parents, who had side hustles even though they were also fully employed. In addition to that, a series of layoffs also over the span of Bay's career inspired her to have her own side hustle and also helping women to do the same. And what I love about what she does is that her philosophy is that, aside as an additional income or a side hustle is not just something nice to have, but it's a necessity. And I think, especially in this time that we are in, the pandemic, but also in terms of our own community, a lot of things are gradually changing. I think we are starting to have that consciousness about, the power of money in our community, within our community, and how to move it within our community. And so many people now with side hustles are really putting that forward and say, hey guys, like I do this. Hey ladies, I like in web design, I can do this. And so those side hustles. So all of this to say, I'm truly excited about this conversation today with Bay. So how are you, Bay? How are you today?
Hi, Kelly. I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. As I was saying, we're going through a couple of uncertain times. People are unfortunately losing jobs, contracts are not being renewed, and a lot of people are going through challenging times. And again, even more so in our Black communities. So in terms of, financial stability, there's a lot of thinking that needs to be done in our community. And like I said earlier, we're starting to do it gradually and then understanding the power of the Black financial power. And so I just wanted to know from your perspective, first of all, just tell us a little bit more about your journey, how you became an expert in supporting women in building additional income in the community.
Yeah, hi everyone. So, like I said, my parents, had side hustles, and it just seemed like something that, would happen automatically for me, but it did not. It took me realizing after my second layoff that, you know what, I'd better go back and think about what people back home were doing, making that extra source of income. So after my first layoff happened when I was in college. I was still under my parents' roof and they were still supporting me. The second one happened, and at this point I had a mortgage, I had a car payment, and I was pretty much on my own. So I tried all sorts of things. I tried to have like a mommy basket company where I was making gift bags for new moms who were still in the hospital for people to give to them as gifts. Since a lot of times people take gifts for the baby and not for the new mom. So that was my first real dabble into side hustling. And along the way, I did some event planning, like baby showers, bridal showers. And still, it was just, okay, I'm not really serious about this. I'm just doing it, just to have something to do. I probably had too much time on my hands. But honestly, I got really serious about, having an additional source of income when the third layoff came. My third layoff came, and I could see it coming because at that time I was in middle management and I was privy to some of the conversations that they were having. So at this time, the company I was working for was going through what they called a rebalancing. They didn't want to say restructure. And, first of all, it was like 500 people at once that got laid off. So my wheels started spinning that at some point, they're going to come to like the mid-level managers like me. So that's when I started to get serious about, creating something for myself. So, most people have like some kind of skill. They can do hair or makeup or bake something, but that wasn't my own skill. So I realized that, every time I spoke to women who had just launched their business, I would go into this like unsolicited advice, session with them, asking them questions, what have you done? And I found out that I had a knack for it. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to make this a business. I'm going to look to support other women like myself who, well, they're enjoying their careers and their 9-to-5 jobs, or maybe they're not, but they have thriving careers, but they also want to have an option in case something happens. So I started to learn. I started listening to a lot of experts, started following a whole bunch of women who were successful in their own roles. And that's how I decided that, what, it's going to be something that I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that I support other women who are looking to start a business while working their 9-to-5 jobs. And so that's pretty much how I started it. I launched the Entrepreneurs League officially in 2016, but I started to dabble in it towards the end of 2015. And that third layoff actually came at the end of 2015. So yeah, it definitely came. And I have a background in accounting and finance. So like that business part was something that I also used to support other women, like, just knowing how to, handle numbers and things like that. So that's another component to what I do. I don't talk too much about my degrees, but that's something that has also helped me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then I think, to what you going back on to what you were saying is that, you started talking to women and then also asking those questions. And I think that's also, for the people who are just starting side hustle or side hustling, yes, it's like very difficult sometimes trying to pinpoint exactly which one. Not everybody is super talented with, how to braid hair or like makeup or all of that. So it really requires someone like me, for instance, to really look into, okay, what am I good at, so that I can put it out there and then do. What will be my add-on? Probably many people are doing the same thing, but what is the thing that is, distinguishing me from other people? And so my question to you is like, how do we find a side hustle in efficient way?
Yeah, so your side hustle can be born out of a passion that you have. Like, so those people who have the natural talent, the skills, they're good with hair and makeup, all that good stuff. So, they're doing it for free, and then people are asking them, how much do you charge? So that comes naturally. Now, your side hustle can also come from the transferable skills that you've developed in your 9-to-5. So maybe you're a project coordinator at your 9-to-5, and you're really good at PowerPoint presentations, So you can decide that you're going to take that skill and transfer it into a business where you're creating PowerPoint presentations for female entrepreneurs or for a specific niche. So it's just looking at what you do and what you enjoy. So that's why I tell people is that your side hustle shouldn't feel like another job. It shouldn't feel like a chore. It should be something that you enjoy. So, look at what you do within your 9 to 5 and, what are the skills that you have that, you enjoy, that you've learned or developed from your 9 to 5, and what's something that you can just, run with. I usually see also, something that has a low startup cost. You don't want to start pouring money into it, or if just while you're testing it. So something that's low startup and something that causes you the least resistance. And I learned that from my coach. It is something that you think about it and you don't have to give yourself so many reasons why it's not going to work. Rather, you're telling yourself a lot of reasons why you're going to enjoy it and why it's going to work and why people need it. So obviously it has to be a solution to a problem. You want to make sure that what you have to offer is a solution. And, just doing a little bit of research, listening to, people who will be your ideal clients and just asking them questions, or just, leveraging some social media, some forums, and going there and just listening, doing some social listening to what those pain points, and seeing, where your skills will fit in. And that's how you create your own nation, your own unique selling proposition.
Right, right. Okay, and then so I guess as soon as you do have that idea, and so you're about to start your small, I would say like your small project, because it obviously evolves into something bigger eventually. But how did you go about yours? How did you start it? So did you just put like a list of people together, put a list together of people and then try to connect with them? How did you start your, what were the first steps into building that side hustle?
Yeah, so I started, like I said, I was still working my 9 to 5 job. So I started hanging out on Periscope. That's, I don't know if anybody here remembers Periscope. I started hanging out on Periscope, and I started listening, watching, live videos of women who were successful, who were doing things I wanted to do. So who wanted to like support other women, who were using their skill to help other women. So that's really how I started. For me, like, again, there was a little bit of, fear going into it, but it was, let me get as much information as possible. Let me learn what the tools that I need to have to be able to stand and say, okay, this is how I'm going to support you. So what I did was, just, I spent a couple of months just really taking notes. I'm always taking notes anyway, just taking notes, like learning from this woman, purchasing some courses. I eventually got a coach, but very early on was just like, doing a lot of listening and learning. And then I decided to like step out and, say, okay, I'm this person, I'm Bayode Simpson, this is what I have to offer. And I saw myself as who I wanted to be. And I started to offer services. I obviously, I started out with a lot of free consultations. So that was my own opportunity to just really learn those pain points. So I started with free consultations. I created, I think the first free download I created, that was to get people on my email list, was I think 10 reasons why this year is the year of the female entrepreneur, if I remember correctly. So I came out, I put together, 10 reasons why, it's the year of the female entrepreneur, whatever year that was. I thought probably 2016. And so I put that out there, and people joined my email list, and that's how I was able to start building a list or an audience. And also I leveraged social media. I started hanging out a lot on Instagram. I used Facebook. I would also hang out in some Facebook groups, and that's really how I got started. And eventually I realized that, I needed some more support. So on Periscope as well, somebody I know put out a call to have women join a mastermind, women who are just starting their business and who wanted to support each other. So there were five of us total in that mastermind group. So it was like an accountability group. So that group also helped me. I was in that group for 2.5 years. We were meeting every Saturday at 10 a.m. So having that support system also helped me. And then eventually I got a coach. I hired a coach to help me, honing the skills that I needed to hone in order to do the business strategy and things that I wanted to help women with.
So I'm getting two elements from
Yeah.
there. It's discipline, right?
Yes.
And then also definitely getting support. So of course,
Yeah.
having someone also helping you, helping you with your side hustle, helping you use your skills to the best ability. So that's good. So that's amazing. So I want to dive a little bit into time management. And so, it's one thing to have a full-time job, a 9 to 5, and for some people, those jobs are very, very demanding. Then it's another thing to also have a family. You have kids, you need to take care of them, family-wise, cook, cleaning, and all of that. And then it's not in that order, of course, but then you have the side hustle. So how do you balance it all out and make sure that you still whoops, I just want to make sure this is okay. And so how do you manage all of that and then balance it all out so that you, at the end of the day, you're not burnt out, but you're still also gaining out of your side hustle, but also still be good at your job in the 9 to 5. So how do you do all of that at the same time?
Yeah. So for me, I always attach energy management to time management because, there's one aspect of, finding time in your busy day, but there's also making sure that you have the energy that you need to do what it is that you need to do for your business. Because if you're saying, okay, I only have time like right after I've made dinner, to work on my business, but then you're tired. So that's not, a good time for you to really get the optimal value of work that you do. So I always say, just make sure that, when you're thinking about time, you're also thinking about your energy. What does your energy feel like at the time that you're deciding that you're going to work on your side hustle? But back to just talking about time management, for me, it's, really just being very realistic with the amount of time that you have. So whether you're a morning person and you're going to allocate like an hour in the morning for your business, or it's going to be in the evening, just, figuring out that time. And, some people put a lot of pressure on themselves that, oh, I need to work like 3-4 hours a day to work on my business. Well, if you don't have 3-4 hours a day, there's a lot you can do within an hour. It's like, focus the work that you can do within an hour and you'll be surprised. And that's the thing, we spend a lot of time thinking and planning, and that takes so much energy out or time out of actually doing the work. So it's, looking at your schedule, seeing what time you have. And, for me, it's packing things into the weekend because, with the weekend, I'm not going to work, so I can also ask my husband to help me out, like with our daughter now. But before then, it was like, the weekends are like where I do a lot of work. And also it depends on the type of business you have. So I work a lot with service-based entrepreneurs. And so they're providing a service. So setting expectations with clients is, I have a block of 5 hours a week for consultations, and that's what I have, not putting pressure on yourself to try to book 10, 20 clients in a week when you really don't have the bandwidth to do that. So for me, it's really setting those expectations and being realistic about the time that you have. And talking about your 9 to 5, one thing I tell people, because I work from home pretty much 80% to 90% of my time, is don't mix business, your work, your 9 to 5 with your business. It's tempting to do that, especially if you're working from home or if you're at work and, things are a bit relaxed. But I find that, switching hats, what they call context switching, switching hats from your business to, first of all, it takes too much energy. And then that's time fraud. Let's be honest. Like if you're working on your side hustle or your business while you're at work. Put yourself in an employer's shoes, and you wouldn't want your employee doing that. So I keep things totally separate. Even when I'm working from home, I don't have my laptop in my home office with me. It's in my room or somewhere else, because I find that if I have it there, it's tempting. And then, working on your business when you have deadlines, it's taking time away. So you're still going to have to catch up the time that you're taking from your employer, right? So it's, just make sure that your business, your 9 to 5 is your 9 to 5. What I will do sometimes when I was in the office was, like, during my lunch break, I used to make it a point to physically, like, leave my desk and go into the lunchroom. And that's when I would, like, either listen to a podcast, or maybe if I had to respond to an email or make a phone call, but it was usually away from my desk. But one thing I did was I kept a notepad on my desk, and I'll just write out ideas that I had if they came, but like nothing, not using, company equipment or anything for my business, and making sure that there was that clear line that, side hustle, your business or your side hustle is separate from your 9 to 5, and not trying to do both at the same time and during company time.
That's very interesting, because I often find myself mixing both. I'm guilty of that. And it's true, it can be very, very, at times it can be very stressful, because you're switching context, right? So as soon as you leave, for instance, your 9 to 5 context for, let's say, an hour, because it's a little bit relaxed at work, and so you're working on it, and suddenly your rush comes, then there's that frustration, because you have to go back to that context of 9 to 5, and then leaving the job that you were currently doing for your side hustle, but you were so into it. And then so you find that frustration, because I find myself often, and with my partner, I always complain to him that, oh my gosh, I wish I had more time, or like, I'm so tired of people just sending me emails about like random requests. And I'm talking about my 9 to 5 job, because at that point I'm already irritated by the fact that they are in my space, in my side hustle. And he is always saying, well, technically you're in the context of 9 to 5, you're paid for it, you're paid to answer those questions, so why do you find this irritating? So it's a good point. And sometimes I also do try to have like that 1 hour of lunchtime dedicated to that, just like go through my emails and then try to catch up. It's very challenging.
But I was just going to add that, part of time management also is the systems that you have, supporting your business. So, for example, if, clients are reaching out to you during business hours, having like a frequently asked question, some kind of autoresponder, or even just having like a template, a pre-populated message to say, okay, these are my hours, I can't respond to you, I'll be within, the hours that you're at work, but, you can hear from me, you'll hear from me at such and such time. So like really setting those expectations for your clients, because, we live in a society where people want quick response, and you also feel the itch to like respond to them immediately. But if you, set expectations and you set an autoresponder, to help you, that will support you with managing your time as well. And list, because if you have a frequently asked questions page or something that you can direct them to before you can physically, like, before you can contact them, that would help as well. And that will save you from
for sure. There is actually a question from Sola, and her question is, what do you say about a side hustle you enjoy, but it's quite physically and time consuming?
Oh, good question. So if it's one that you enjoy but is physically is physical and time consuming, then maybe you want to see about training one person or having a support team. And I say support team like, in quote, like a support team that you can have on demand. So let's say, you're doing, you have a lot of orders and you need help, there's nothing wrong with, getting in touch with somebody that can support you, that can help you to do the prep work and all things that, they can support you with, so that you don't feel like you're stretched. Another thing is, for something that you enjoy that is physically and time consuming, is thinking about, creating what we call like, one to many products. So, creating courses, creating programs that you can, shell out to like a whole bunch of people within the same amount of time that you'd have spent, working with someone one-on-one. But if you have a more specific question around that, feel free to elaborate on your question so that I can give another a better answer if that didn't satisfy you.
Okay. All right. So before I go into that question, I have one question here. Yeah. Is it okay to share on platforms such as LinkedIn that we have side hustles, knowing that, sometimes our managers and directors are following us, and managers, directors from our 9-to-5 jobs, I want to say, and then they may have an opinion. Sometimes, again, going back, we have certain expectations from the 9-to-5 job, and then also in our career, like job specifications, it sometimes says that you might work longer hours and whatnot. And so you work your 9-to-5 job, you're about to just go home and then continue with your side hustle, and you just choose your side hustle over your 9-to-5. You're just like, okay, it's 5 p.m. I'm going, and then your director is not necessarily taking it in the right way. So all of this to say, is it okay to share that kind of information on our platform, knowing that our, senior management might see that?
Yeah. Okay, so I like this question, and it's quite subjective. Let's be honest. It's subjective to like your work condition and the work environment. You need to know the organization that you work for. You need to know who your manager is, and if it's a manager that is not encouraging you to thrive, then you've got, it's pretty subjective. But let me tell you what I did when I launched the Entrepreneur's Nook. I created a LinkedIn page that was separate from my 9-to-5, that had my role as a business systems analyst. And I just kept things separate. But with the company where I work, every year we have to fill out this form to attest that, whether we have a side business, whether we have a side hustle, and what it is. So in my first year, I was very honest about it, and I told them in the form, what I did, and I gave my website and everything. So I guess that raised the red flag. So my form wasn't checked off as completed. I guess they needed to do their background work. And a couple of days later, I got a message to saying that, everything was fine. And every year I have to, fill the same form out, but it's the same business I'm doing. It's the same thing. And nobody's saying anything. So, it's all well and good. Mm-hmm. So if I were to start a business in 2020, I will do things differently. I will leave my business, my personal business, my side hustle on my LinkedIn profile for many reasons. As long as, it's not encroaching on what I'm doing with my employer. I'm not vying for my employer's clients, and, I'm not committing any kind of fraud or anything. And the reason why I say this is because last year, so when I'm actually physically in the office, I sit behind or in front of a meeting room. So there was this gentleman that was having lunch with someone. It was during lunchtime, and so he started to talk about how he had hired this woman as, I guess she was a manager. He was a director, if I remember correctly. And, she owned this franchise. It's a hair salon franchise. And, she told him about her business. And she told him that, just like she would call home to check on her child, she has a manager supporting her business, and she will call to find out how things are going, or, be able to respond. And he didn't have a problem with it. In fact, he was impressed with it. And I believe that, he was, that was a selling point in hiring her, because there's certain managers especially the directors and mid to upper level managers who, are more open-minded and who would want to see you thrive. And what does that say about you if you can run a business, while you're working 9 to 5? So I believe firmly that there's more to learn from employees who are able to do that, as opposed to those who don't, or who don't show those character traits. So I would say that, like, if I were to do this in 2020, there's no way I would create a second LinkedIn profile and have to be shuttling between the two. I'll be very upfront. And, like I said, I'm going to make sure I check all the boxes. I'm not vying for my employer's client. It's not during company time, and I'll be very honest about it. I won't hide it. That's me in 2020, especially with, with what with the pandemic. I'm sure a lot of employers will be happy to know that, their employees are, out there, creating an extra source of income for themselves. And remember that, you have a life outside of your work. Now, if you're, someone who's the face of your company, then you want to be careful, but you have a life outside of it. So it's really, just finding that right balance. Now, there's this lady at my job who bakes cakes. We all ordered from her, like it was like an open thing, like, oh, it's somebody's birthday, like, nobody had a problem with it. But because the business we're in wasn't a business that they were selling cakes, and if at all anything, like when we had our monthly birthdays, she was the one baking the cakes. So I would say that, first of all, it's pretty subjective. Know your environment, but if you ask me for my opinion, I'll tell you that, just be upfront about it. It shows a stronger character than if you're hiding it. Yeah. But now, if you have a deadline, and sorry about that. If you have a deadline and, you want to walk out, you've got to use your best judgment, because, this is a 9 to 5 that pays you. It's your bread and butter. So you've got to make that executive decision at that point in time. Like, will staying back, an extra hour, if it's not going to cause you anything, well, it's just a temporary discomfort just for today. I might have to move things around for my business, but, it's all about, being that CEO, that business person, and, really deciding, figuring out how you can manage the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Sorry, I was very passionate about that question.
No, but it's good. It's good because I've had that question before, and also I've had that experience where it's not all managers and directors can be super supportive. So it's very, it's always that fine balance. Like, do you put all of that on LinkedIn, which is such a great place, especially for potential employers. You can see them sometimes going on different LinkedIns and then see. So, so it's always trying to find that balance. And then also in terms of like, who's your manager, who's your director, and then, the relationship, the environment that we're in. So definitely. I want to address the question that Keita had. What are some side hustles based on skills? Some example of side hustles based on skills.
Like, so it goes back to like, what you're doing in your 9 to 5. Like I gave the example of, the person who's pretty good with presentations at work, who can transfer that knowledge, that expertise into a side hustle. If you're good with numbers, you can do light bookkeeping for business owners. That's another side hustle, transferable skill from your 9 to 5. If you're good with, if in your role in your 9 to 5, you do a lot of writing, you can become a copywriter. You can do some proofing and editing. You can support businesses through proofreading and editing. If you have graphic design skills, if you're managing like your company's social media account, that's something that you can transfer over. You know, what else? There's just a lot you can do out there. It's, you know, there's a lot just thinking about what you do in your 9 to 5 that you, like I said, that you enjoy doing. You know, you want to make sure you enjoy doing it. It's not something that you feel that is a chore. But, you know, like I said, like bookkeeping, graphic design, I have a whole lot of examples in a free PDF that I created, like 100 side hustle ideas for women. But really, you know, it's just taking, if you're good with, like, you know, administrative work, if you're admin or executive assistant, you know, transferring that over and becoming a virtual assistant for other business owners is another thing that you can do. If you're good with event planning, you know, that's something else that you can take over. If you're the one that organizes like events and meetings and, you know, big meetings at your job, sorry?
I said also translation, if you're good with, like, if you
Exactly.
have another language.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah,
definitely.
exactly. Yeah. But if you want my the comprehensive list that I have, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll send it over to you.
Okay. So you put your email address in there, so like after people can reach out to you if they have questions, if they want to get in touch with you. Okay. So I have, before I ask this question, I just want to go back to what you were saying. You know, you want to make sure that this side hustle remains a passion, that it's not a chore. And so sometimes it can be that, like, especially it can go towards that. It can become a chore. And so how do we recenter it? You know, like, have you ever experienced that in your journey where you felt like, okay, this is becoming so much headache, or it creating a little bit of stress? And so how did you recenter it so it became your passion?
Absolutely. I went through that just recently, where you know, I was offering too many products, like too many services, sorry, you know, different services for different people, and I was customizing things, and I just said, no, this is madness. I need to like streamline things and really, you know, focus on like 1 to 2 services and really go all in with those services. And that's what I started to do. So just really honing in and narrowing down how I can support my clients, as opposed to like, you know, trying to, you know, offer courses here, trying to create this group, and I was just trying to do too many things. So one thing I would say is, you know, always take a step back when you feel that you're overwhelmed, and, you know, do some kind of a review of what you're doing in your business. Again, what are the things that you enjoy doing? What are the things that, you know, seem like they're a chore? And really look at them and see whether it's time for you to pivot. You know, is it time for you to go in a different direction? Is it time for you to like offer something new? You know, like, and that's the thing. New products, new services, you know, creates an excitement. So, you know, just, you know, it can even be just like, look, if you're offering like, say, a course, or if you're baking cakes, maybe like, you know, learn a new skill that will help you so you can offer something different. You know, it's just looking at it, taking a step back and saying, okay, what am I enjoying? What am I not enjoying? How can I change things? And then also asking your clients, you know, what would you like to see? What can I do differently? And, you know, just getting that motivation. And also, I always say, you know, you always go back to your why you started it, you know, why you're doing what you're doing. You know, that's definitely a good way to be motivated and, you know, give you that energy and rekindle, you know, the passion you have for your business. And like I say, you know, like, entrepreneurship can be so difficult. It can feel lonely. So make sure you have a support system, you know, whether it's a buddy, is an accountability partner you have, or you have a coach or a mentor, someone, a group of people who are like-minded, who can support you, who can, you know, talk you off that ledge, you know, who can support you, who would encourage you, who would encourage you to do the things that you need to do. Someone who you can, of course, you know, vent to every now and then. You know, just having that support system is very important. You don't want to go at it alone.
Sure, sure.
Yeah,
And it's true. It's having that support system.
yeah,
It's definitely helpful when it comes to entrepreneurship. And it can be very difficult when we don't have that support, or when you vent but in vain. The person
yeah,
cannot relate to you because
right.
you're not like minded, right? So
Yeah,
definitely, definitely finding ways to recenter that, to make sure that we still enjoy what we do,
yeah,
because aside from the 9 to 5 job, sometimes the side hustle is also a way to be able to do what we love outside of
exactly.
that time that we're giving to society in exchange for money. So
Yeah.
okay, all right, so what are 5 tips you will give to have a successful side hustle to a newbie, for instance?
Okay. So all these are coming from just my experience. The first thing I would say is your mindset. You have to work on your mindset. Like you have to adopt a winning mindset. You have to like really like if you need to psych yourself up, like if you need to like coach yourself and pump yourself up, it's your mindset. Going to everything with the mindset that you're going to succeed, it's going to be successful. Don't go into anything you're going to do like, oh, I'm just going to do it, but I know people are not going to like it. Like, no, you have to really, the first thing is getting your mind right. Like I've started telling people like 80% of your success is your mindset. Entrepreneurship is a mental sport. It is a mental and contact sport because it's a mental game, and it's a contact sport because you're dealing with different people and different personalities, and you need people to buy from you. So getting your mind right is the first thing I would say. Is
Yeah.
just make sure that your mindset is in the right place to even get started with your side hustle. That's the first thing I would say. I touched on this a little bit, is making sure that what you have to offer is a solution to a problem, is a solution for people. So be sure that what you're about to put out is something people need. And you cannot be 100% sure, and that's where testing it comes into play. Testing that with a few people. This is what I have to offer, tell me what you think. Really getting that feedback, but just putting it out there. Don't waste too much time. When you have an idea, work on it and put it out there. Don't try to be too much of a perfectionist, because sometimes that's disguised as fear. So make sure that what you have is a solution for people. The third thing I'm going to say is monetization. Make monetization a priority. This is not a hobby. It's not a charity for your family and friends. It's not your side hustle is not an afterthought. There's a transaction that happens. There's an offer, there's an acceptance with an exchange of money. So make monetization a priority. When we just get started, it's easy for us to offer free services. And honestly, I've been there, done that. There's nothing wrong with free services, but understand why you're offering those free services. Are you offering the free services to get, honest feedback about your product? Is it because you're going to get a testimonial out of it? And to really have clear and a strategy for why you're offering free services, and have an end date in mind. If you're offering free services for the first 6 weeks or 2 months or 3 months that you start your side hustle, but know that this is the reason why I'm offering free. Because what happens is that you get used to offering services for free. It becomes a crutch, and then it even messes up with your confidence. When somebody pays you, that's a confidence booster right there. You're onto something. If somebody can pay you, that means you can get more people to pay you. You can replicate the same process. So make monetization a priority, no matter how small you start. But just make sure, it's just like people coming into your store, your virtual store, and you not having anything on your shelves to sell. We don't go into stores where everything is free on the shelf. So just make sure that monetization is a priority for you. The next thing I'll
Yeah.
say is systems, and sometimes when we talk about systems, people get a little flustered about systems. Your systems can be as simple or as complicated as you make them. So just having systems to support your business. So what are the repetitive tasks that you do in your business? Is there a way to automate it, to make it easier on you? So just making sure that, and also it's the systems help you to maintain a certain standard in your business. So people that are coming into your business, that are interacting with you, get the same level and quality of service. So make sure that you have systems. Your systems can be like in Google Drive, like it's you having like templates, when a customer calls you, here step one, here step two, that could be your system. That, okay, a customer reaches out to you, first step is to do the second step. That can be as simple as it needs to be, but it's a system that you follow every single time, and it becomes routine. So making sure that you have systems to support your business. And then of course I talked about accountability. Get an accountability partner, get a support group, be supported in your business. Don't go at it alone. It's fun. You're not an island. You shouldn't be on your own. So make sure that you're talking to people who will lift you up, who would encourage you in your business and the journey, because it's not one that is easy. And if we have time, I have two more that I want to talk about. That I want to talk about time management and energy management. Just being super disciplined with your time, learning how to say no. There are different ways to say no. No, it's not going to work. I have other priorities, but just learning to say no and not take too much on. And that's part of managing your time and your energy. And then the last thing I will say is self-care. Do something for yourself, whether it's you're moving daily. Like I started going walking every 3 to 4 times a weekend. That has like helped me mentally, and just helping me feel like even with my business, I can't do certain things. It's just time for me to like just get away and think, and it's really been helpful. So take time for yourself, because you need to recharge, you need to reset. So make sure that you're putting yourself in the equation, in everything that's going on with your business. You are your own asset. You are what makes your business. So you have to take care of yourself. So those are my tips. I know I went over, but those are my tips.
No, these are great tips. These are great tips, and I hope that our participants are also taking notes with those tips. I have These are all the questions that I had for you today. So I just personally want to say thank you for showing us how to be better for those of us who are already in the side hustle bubble, to give us tips to be better. And I appreciate that. Claudia has one question for you. And she says, hi, just wanted to share some insight. It is also important to understand who is your competition, how much do they charge, and what is your differentiator. Question for our speaker: how do you advertise for your business? How did you manage to get your first customers and carve a niche for yourself? That's a very good question.
So advertising is like, marketing is a continuous thing. Like, I'm sure, Kelly, you saw like how I was posting all over to invite people, because everyone's attention is like all over the place, because there's so many things that we see during the day. So the studies show that people need to see something at least 7 times in order for them to react. So when you think that you're doing too much, that you're in people's faces, no, you have to keep doing it. So I utilize social media a lot. But one thing I would say is that social media is just where the handshake happens. You've got to take them off of social media and get them on an email list, and that's where you do the nurturing, and you convert your subscribers into buyers, or they come. So a lot of the marketing and advertising I do is pretty organic. It is, I'm hanging out on social media, I'm sharing things on social media, accepting, invitations to speak. I am on podcasts. I am being interviewed as in a guest blog post, so those are things I do. I haven't dabbled into Facebook ads a lot, and that's because I haven't taken the time to understand Facebook ads. I hear that they work well, but you have to know how to use them. There's a lot of segmenting and target that I haven't mastered yet. Right now, I focus on organic advertising through creating free downloads, getting people on my email list. I hang out on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook. And the other part of advertising is being consistent. So it's not, doing it once and then dropping it off and coming back again. It's in the consistency that you see the results, to be honest with you. So that's how I advertise. And how did I get my first client? I did a lot of free consultations. That's why I'm telling you not to hang on to free services and free products, have a reason why, because I was taking in free I was free strategy sessions, at all times of the day, because a lot of people that were following me when I just started were people that are in Nigeria. So there was a difference, and I found myself waking up at 5, 6 a.m., to get on these calls, and I was giving it my all, but, I was giving too much actually on the call. Like I was pretty much giving them a session as opposed to like guiding them. So that was my fault, so it was very difficult for me in the beginning to getting clients. But when I started to like really focus on, hearing what the pain points were and directing them to my service, the service that matched what they needed. So that's how I started to get people. I started to focus, I started to speak the language, speak the pain points that I started to speak to those pain points. And that's how I was able to get my first client. But it was a lot of free services that you don't have to do, that I'm telling you, you don't have to do. It's showing your credibility by showing up. And if you're going to show up on social media, make sure you're showing up consistently. And social media is where the handshake happens. Not a lot of sales when it comes to services happen on social media. It's off social media. If you're selling products, then that's a different conversation. Instagram even has the clickable links for you to make a purchase off of Instagram. There are tools that would support you, like your e-commerce business. But if it's a service-based business, it's a lot of making sure that, like I said, it's a contact sport. So you have to speak one-on-one to your clients, get them on the phone with you and tell them how you can support them.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. All right. Well, this is it. I think that was, let me just see if there's another question here. Okay, no. Okay. Thank you for your encouragements and tips. Yes, so I echo what Claudia is saying. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your experience with us, to sharing your knowledge. I think, see, this is the thing that I love about Spotlight, is just like having this opportunity to talk to other women who are doing amazing things. But we don't always hear what other people are doing. So we really want to just know what's happening in our own community and then support each other and hear from each other also, because your experience is valuable to us, and we're also learning from you and making sure that, okay, instead of taking this route, I can take a separate route, for instance, or I can definitely separate my 9 to 5 from my side hustle. That is something that I, for sure, applying after this conversation. So I just want to say thank you. I'm not sure if you had if you wanted to say like a couple of words before closing this session to the participants or anything.
Oh, for sure. I'll just tell you, to go for it. Like, go for whatever it is that you want to do. Don't let your mindset limit you. Focus on what you want to do and go after it. Now, another thing is, comparison. We're not talking about, price wise and all that, but like just comparing somebody else's journey to where you are is such it's a disservice to you. So don't get stuck comparing yourself or your journey to the next person, because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So just really focus on what you want to achieve, who you want to serve, and the difference you want to make. Like, let that be like front and center of what you want to do. It's very easy to get distracted and discouraged when you're comparing yourself. So don't compare yourself. And another thing I would say is that when it comes to, like, your virtual mentors, people that you follow, try to follow, a certain number, like maybe 1 to 3 people that you really trust, and apply what they say. Because if you're hearing from different people, you're going to get overwhelmed, information overload, and different people have different ways of doing things. So really just narrow down who you want to follow in the season that you're in. I was just telling my accountability partner that, like, there are 2 women that I really respect, and they're my mentors. Like, they don't know me, but they're my mentors.
Yeah.
I read what they put out. I'm doing and applying what they are doing. And that's it for this season. I'm not looking all over the place, because it can get very overwhelming. So just, and then last thing I want to leave you with is just trust yourself. Trust that you have what it takes. Trust that you have enough to give to people. And just trust that you're a step ahead of somebody, at least a step ahead of one person or several people. So just really trust yourself and go for it.
Thank you so much, Faye. I just want to leave people with this. If you want to connect with Bay online, you can do it through her website, entrepreneursnook.com. You can also find her on Instagram at entrepreneursnook, on Facebook, entrepreneursnook, and on LinkedIn, Bayode Simpson. So you can find her on all those channels. I encourage you to continue those conversations with her. I will personally continue that conversation with you, because I think you are a great source of knowledge and wisdom. So on that note, I just want to say thank you. I know it's 7:30, and then we're keeping it, within an hour. So thank you so much, Faye, and thank you everyone for joining us today for this 3rd episode of Spotlight. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Kelly.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.